Good morning, fellow creators. It is July 9th, Tuesday at 9 a.m. So, I didn't realize at first, last week's video, that I had posted that up and I'm wearing this arm brace, and I was like, not everybody probably knows what's going on. I did do a regular YouTube post, not a video post, but a post, but not a lot of people see that. It was on my Instagram, and I did reply to a comment on that video, but overall, most people probably don't know what's happening. Here's the long story short. I slipped and fell in my backyard 3 weeks ago. I broke my left wrist and my left ankle, which is in this boot. Several orthopedic appointments later, I tried to go back to work yesterday. My ankle felt considerably worse throughout the course of the day. So I am back now on short-term disability, probably for another 3 weeks. I had essentially recorded pieces of a vlog last week. It was pretty depressing. I wasn't super energetic, mostly because I'm feeling really down about this. The biggest thing right now is that I can't really work because I can't continually put pressure on my ankle, at least not as much as a full work day requires. I can wander around my house okay, but as far as the full 8 hours of work, it's not really happening. On the upside to that, though, the past few weeks have given me a lot of time to paint. I've essentially broken myself out of my mental funk that I've been in for the past few months, and I'm cranking out some really cool art now. So I'll start with this one. This is sort of my in-between when the other piece is drying. I did this marker sketch sometime, I think, last year. And this is really fun. I did this with my Copic wide markers. And then I was like, I should probably like clear coat this or something. And as soon as I hit it with spray, it caused a lot of weird rippling, and because of the alcohol markers and things. So it kind of ruined it as a piece, but it still looks really nice as a sketch. And it's been on my idea board forever. So in the midst of messing with some new art and stuff like that, I'm like, wait a minute, I've got this canvas that's basically that exact same aspect ratio. So I'm doing a sort of grayscale version of it, so something very similar to the sketch. I just basically blew up the composition a bit. I'm using black, white, as well as some Titan buff, which is what's giving it this little bit of a tan extra third value, more or less, or not quite a third value, but still kind of close. Whether or not I add color to this at the end, I'm undecided on. I feel like I could probably do a couple little areas where I have little indications of color, but it's probably going to be my grayscale piece for the year, because I try to do a grayscale piece once every year or two to kind of keep my skills sharp when it comes to mixing values. Okay, the mic cut out as I was explaining things because I forgot to charge the receiver. So I'm just going to drag you guys over here. It's been like an hour and a half, and now I'm working, so we're just coming over here for the next explanation of what I'm doing. Okay, so this is my other project right now, and one that I'm a lot further along with at this point. When I started this recording, I only had this section of the mountains done, and now I've got all this done too. So, in addition to all this, I did finally get some time to work in my sketchbook again, and I did like 2 or 3 pages. Found this idea and was like, yeah, we're doing this one right now. So this was really fun because as I was working on the sketch, the theme that was playing in my head was the Ocarina of Time Goron City theme. If you know it, you know it. And the whole time that was in my head, and so I started modeling a lot of the design of this after sort of that Zelda mountainous era. I feel like I've done like 4 paintings this year that have all been very heavily Zelda inspired, but hey, that, you know, is what it is. You find the paint what you like, find inspirations in the things you love. So right. So the theme was playing, but the piece itself is probably visually a little bit closer to what you might get out of more Twilight Princess in the newer 2 Zeldas, at least in terms of where I'm thinking on the design. Got this big bridge across. I'll have a couple figures here, and I want to do sort of like this city at the base of these bigger peaks. So that's the goal for this, at least. I'm actually now just covering up the base of this, and this is on a leftover piece of wood from last year's Splatter Worlds exhibit. And so this, I specifically chose this, one, because it fit the aspect ratio based on the other supports I have in my corner, but also because this particular board I had pre-primed with some knife layers of fine pumice gel, so it has this mottled stone-like look to it, which is really cool because it now essentially takes on that extra layer of that extra visual element of all of this being a very rocky environment, and the underlying texture of the wood and the paste underneath that, giving it that look as well. So I've been having a blast with this piece, and I'm glad I thought about my light just now too, because I was like, all of this, the light's coming from over here, and I've got all this in shadow. I'm like, wait a minute, this bridge is gonna, in the way the overhang with the cliff is, I'm like, it's gonna change. It's gonna go from shadow on this side to highlights over here, and then the baseland over here is gonna need to be darker, and then this is gonna need to be lighter. So these initial layers, I'm like, oh, I gotta pay attention to how light and shadow works here, and not just slap dark colors more in places they shouldn't be. So in addition to this as well, I've got some other side projects I'm kicking around, let me finish this thing right here, and I will grab those. Apparently, all you need to do to get yourself out of a bit of an art funk is fracture 2 limbs and be off work for a month and a half. So. Yeah, like suddenly I'm like, got all this time to paint now, so let's paint. Let's crank some real good ones out. And right, okay. So let me, before I switch colors here. So earlier this year, I had been making all of these splattery ink on watercolor paper, these big sheets of it. You can see it like 4 or 5 vlogs back. I was doing it, I think, in like February, March. And they just started piling up. I stored them on my stairs for a while, and all of a sudden one night it just hit me, and I'm like, I know exactly what I want to do with all of these, and that is to attach them to all of the smaller wood panels that I painted over the course of earlier this year. So I've got some panels and boards with these really colorful things attached to them, and because for a lot of them, not necessarily that one, but they were on bigger sheets of paper, which I've sliced apart, now I've got all of these interesting little starter mixed media pieces. Got those. These came out of a much bigger sheet. Trying to twist this, and my wrist doesn't do that. These two, I'm not sure what to do with quite yet, but in terms of composition, but I really like the how they're looking that way. I put a bigger piece on this one, but the ones I'm starting with came out of a recent art live show I watched. So friend of the channel, Dee Dee Willingham, who streams like 2-3 days a week, every couple of years I send her a box of like scraps, old pieces of paintings, things I trimmed off, and she makes bookmarks and stuff out of them. It's really fun. Nice to see things that would normally end up in the trash get repurposed, and then she sends them out to people in her community. It's really cool. So some of the things she was doing with my scraps was treating some of them like swirls in space and nebula, and I wouldn't have even considered that had I not watched her thing, and she started turning some gears in my head subconsciously. So 2 of the ones I attached, this was actually on a wood palette that I painted and then didn't like, so I repainted it. So I got these. So get to the center here. What I did over the course of the past couple of days is put the black spray paint frosting around these outer edges for that extra idea of the depths of space. And then these are the, just those ink and yeah, like acrylic ink bases and stuff. I dripped a couple things of interference blue in the middle of these, which is that little bit of a shine you see in the center. And I really like this. So I'm going to give these some a treatment of some splattery stars, and then figure out what I want to do with them compositionally after that. But these are another fun project off to the side. Okay, I'm going to get back to this painting. So in addition to that and this and everything else going on, the past few weeks have really been kind of rough because, I mean, just having this happen pretty much just as a freak accident has kind of completely turned my life upside down. But at this point, even going back to work for a day, it's kind of reset my brain a little bit. And I was to the point last week where I was just like, I don't even know what day it is anymore. Everything's just like going to pieces. So I actually this is a good thing too. I was really having a hard time twisting. I can't do it for all of the jars. I had to put one of these in my vise and just go because I don't have the torque that I need to open a lot of jars. Anyway, the point being that what's the point?
What's the meaning of this shit?
Oh, that I'm probably not going to work super long this morning, at least for the time being. That is the freedom of being off for a month and a half from work, is that you really have the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, and then you're not time constrained into things. I do need to hit the grocery store today, though, so that is mostly what is keeping me outside of that. So I'm pretty much just gonna be dropping in this other base shadow layer here. I'm kind of waiting to hear back from my doctor because I was on short-term disability and then having to go back on it is going to cause some interesting hiccups. But waiting to hear back from the doctor, waiting to hear back from work insurance people, so nothing I can do about that. So the least I can do is paint this morning. Also, it's going to be 95 degrees today, so I likely will be hanging in the office and right next to my air conditioner for most of the day, as I've been doing a lot lately. But I am doing my best to stay as productive as I can. I also do need to do a good test out of Cliff Studio Paint sometime soon here. Not that I'm on a time clock for that, but as long as I'm sitting up in the office, that's a good artistic thing to do while I'm up there. I can sketch from pretty much any table in the house. That's always a nice thing as well. So yeah, at this point I'm just dropping in this other base color, having fun. I may or may not check back in later in the week with you guys. I think I've already updated you guys and said a lot artistically so far, but I'm sure you guys will want to see this piece when it's done, which I will probably have done by the end of the week. Well, hello and happy Tuesday. It's about 10:30. I'm getting myself back here into the studio. A couple of things to take care of. First, I can't remember if I explained this yesterday or not. If I did, sorry for the redundancy. But every couple of years, I send my friend Dee, who streams here on YouTube, a bunch of my scraps and my cast-off kind of stuff. And this is the first time that she has ever sent things back to me that she didn't use. I got sent back scraps of my scraps. So I get this one. I like these little things, and I get this one. I got these two, which are my scraps that I was trying to get rid of. But I'll throw these in one of my art books on the shelf and forget about them. And we've got Ben. Everyone thinks that these should be framed as is. Everyone seem to think that the demo piece for the Ultimate Tree tutorial, the original craft paint versus professional acrylics from like 7 or 8 years ago, the Reflections demo from about 5 years ago, and the Palm Tree demo from probably like 9 years ago, all should be framed. I don't agree. And while I, at this point, won't throw them away, Dee Dee, if you're watching, here's what I do with all this stuff before you get it. If it doesn't go directly into this box, it just lives up here and collects dust. which now it's gonna keep doing for the next probably decade. Well, good morning again. It is 8:30? 8:30. Friday the 12th. And I started my morning with a buzz down haircut, a shower, and just remembered I should probably take some pain pills too. Not that I'm really in a lot of pain or anything. I'm just trying to keep some swelling down on my ankle because I sat for too long yesterday and it got a little stiff. So today's going to be interesting. I got a little bit further on this piece. Got the vast majority of things placed in, as well as some placeholders for like the little town and city that are around the mountains. I'm probably not going to work on this today though. So I've got a few other side projects I want to mess with. It cooled down pretty nice overnight, so it's going to be relatively pleasant in the house for at least until partway into the afternoon. Yesterday I did a little live stream on the channel. I was starting to learn Clip Studio Paint. It's like a 15-minute part, and then the power went out. And I was like, great, in the middle of streaming, the power goes out for 5 minutes, which was actually the second time yesterday that had happened. I'm not really sure what was going on. And then once I was back, I played, a little bit more, made this little digital sketch based on a sketch I did like 6 or 7 years ago. So I've mostly got the tools going on. And the other fun thing I want to shout out today is just this morning, as I was doing all my stuff, I found a new art channel. She's, what's her name? Stephanie Scott. She's an abstract oil painter, but she has this podcast series called Brushwork, where it's just like all these topics for artists and things. I'm watching one right now. It's 22 day jobs to support your art career. Not that I'm looking for a new job or anything, but I'm like, these are really good ideas, and she's articulate and she knows what she's talking about. And I started with one this morning. She was like, if you have fancy, expensive art materials, use them. The line that she used that I really love, and I'm probably going to adopt or possibly steal going forward, is the only wasted paint is the stuff left over in your tube. And I was like, I really love that concept. So yeah, Stephanie Scott, I'll link her channel up in here somewhere. Go check her channel out. She's got just a little over 1,000 subscribers, and I'm like, how? This is like, she's got a ton of content, and it's really good. And I'm like, if she doesn't suddenly start blowing up, like, I don't know why even the channel got to me. Like, the algorithm just clicked in for a minute, and it's like, this is really good. And I don't say that about a lot of art channels. There's very few art channels that I really, really like, and already I'm very impressed with hers. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to set this aside and play with some side projects. And I think that's probably where I'm going to have to leave the vlog at this point. This has been, well, it's been a week-long thing. I can't even remember all the stuff that I've said and where this has been. It's been a long, crazy, and very varied week. And as a result, I'm ready to move on. I also have a great art and video idea, which now that I'm thinking about it, I really got to write down on a sticky note, because I want to make that for next week for sure. Which I don't even know if it's on my list. It's one of those ideas that keeps looping back around in my brain. Everyone talks about using high quality archival materials, and it's like, what does archival actually mean? I'm like, there's a good video. Nice little, probably a little 5 to 7 minute explainer one, which that video will probably be next week. I will have to do a little bit of research, and I probably have to make an outline script for that one. I haven't had to do that for a video in a while, but that should be good. Okay, I'm gonna leave you guys with that for this week. Thanks guys for watching. Keep on creating. I hope this varied vlog for this week was entertaining enough. Thanks for watching. Keep on creating, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm gonna play with these.